YouTube, Attorney Darling here. How you doing? The next question in our series of questions following the previous one. Previous one was if you are or a loved one is arrested, should you consult an attorney? The answer there every single time, yes. The next question is should you hire an attorney? There's a whole separate video I'm going to do about whether you should keep your public defender or hire a private attorney. I'm also going to do a blog post about that I will put up on my website. I'll put the links in the description when I get them. But should you hire an attorney? There's a lot of factors. We went over some of the factors in the should you consult with an attorney video, but here's some of the things to think about. The ultimate answer is it depends. And you'll hear this a lot in legal circles when folks ask about, should I do this versus this? Should I call this attorney or this attorney? And the answer honestly is it depends. And people are like, oh, that doesn't help me. How does that help me make a decision? The reality is it depends on a lot of things. Were you charged with petty theft? Did you genuinely make a mistake at one of the self-checkouts at a Walmart? Or are you accused of first degree, which is premeditated murder? Who you should call in those instances absolutely matters. Who you should call, who you should seek out to get a consultation matters a lot. Who you should hire is ultimately probably the most important decision that you're going to make in the process of facing a charge. Who you hire to represent you is incredibly important. So what are some things that you need to take into consideration? Just like we talked about in the consultation video, is what type of charge is it? In the state of Florida, there are two types of charges. There are misdemeanors and there are felonies. There are two other sort of types of offenses that are treated differently. Traffic offenses or tickets, citations, those fall under their own sort of umbrella. You go to traffic hearings for those. It is a magistrate, not an actual elected judge. In some counties where they're smaller counties, it is actually county court judges that do the ticket or citation hearings. And there's also municipal ordinance violations, which are getting into the weeds a little bit, but each city, each municipality has their own ordinances. Those are not actually crimes. They are treated as second-degree misdemeanors, but they're not actually crimes because if you commit a crime that falls under that, normally they just charge you with the misdemeanor, which is a state offense created by the legislature in your state. In the state of Florida, there's plenty of crimes to charge somebody with in the event that you are acting in a way that is not satisfactory to state law, to municipal ordinance violations, to all kind of different priorities that different local governments have. So the two main things, like I said, are misdemeanors and felonies. So misdemeanors in the state of Florida, there's first degree misdemeanors, second degree misdemeanors. First degree is going to be your more serious offense whenever you hear something. So first degree misdemeanors are punishable by up to a maximum of a year in jail, a year probation, or $1,000 fine. That's the max, or sort of any combination. You can do 60 days in jail, 6 months probation, and that's for each misdemeanor. So if you're charged with two misdemeanors, you basically double it, a year each, and so on and so forth. So felonies in the state of Florida, there's three different types of felonies: first degree, second degree, and third degree. Once you get up into the first degree stuff, you're incredibly serious. Your murders, your manslaughters, any of those particular sexual offenses against minors, other sexual offenses such as sexual battery, those are all incredibly serious offenses. There are offenses that are what are called PBLs, or punishable by life. So these are reasons why you want to consult with an attorney. You can get very, very granular on some of these details, and that's okay. The maximum for a first degree penalty is somewhere between 25 to life, right? 20, 25 life. It depends on what it is. PBL are going to be the ones that are punishable by life, like I mentioned. In the state of Florida, we do still have capital offenses. So you can be put to death in the state of Florida. Second degree felonies are usually a max of 15 years. Some of them are 10. It really depends on the statute. Some of them are, even if you're convicted of those things, you're not going to be sentenced anywhere near that, which is why it's incredibly important to reach out to an attorney as soon as you can in this process. Third degree felonies in the state of Florida, 5 years, $5,000 fine, 5 years either prison or 5 years probation, or any combination of the two. Some of the other things that you need to take into consideration about whether to hire an attorney is not just what level of offense did you commit, but do you have a criminal history? This is incredibly important when thinking through the process of how do you come to an agreement if, in fact, your best potential outcome is to come to an agreement or a plea deal? I'll explain plea deals a little bit more in another video, and I'll talk about how they actually have kind of ruined the criminal justice system. Either way, moving forward, what are these things that you need to consider? You need to consider the maximum amount of time that you're facing. You need to consider what your score sheet is in the state of Florida, how many points you score, how many months of prison that you will almost certainly have to go to if you go to trial and lose. But keep in mind, if you go to trial and you win, you don't go to jail for that offense. So are you out on bond for another case? What does that mean? Did you have another case, whether it was a misdemeanor, felony, or anything that you were already out on bond for, and now you have subsequently been arrested again? And if you were arrested again and bonded out again, you are probably going to go back to jail very shortly. And the reason I say that is if you are out on bond and you get arrested again, that is most certainly a violation of the conditions of your release, of your bond. So we're going to talk about in another video, what the heck is bond? What's bail? We're going to talk about all of that. What are some other things that you need to definitely consider? Are you on probation? Are you on community control? Were you on these things when you were arrested again? Because a new law violation or a new charge is going to violate your probation or your community control. It is also likely that you're going to go back into custody. So as soon as you are even identified as a potential person who is a suspect for any of this, you need to reach out to an attorney right away. It is absolutely crucial that you get somebody who can fight for you as quickly as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean you hire the first attorney you talk to. So I tell clients all the time who reach out to me, call another attorney, get some other quotes when it comes to price, and then call me back and tell me what you think. The only thing that I ask a potential client is if you're not going to make a decision right now, I want you to go talk to other attorneys. I just want you to talk to me before you make a decision about who you're going to hire. There's a lot of things to take into consideration in the criminal defense space specifically. So this video is not about personal injury. It's not about wills and trusts. It's not about family law. It's not about that. This is about specifically in the criminal defense space. Should you hire an attorney? In most instances, the answer is yes. If it's a certain traffic citation, I will give people the advice, request a hearing. If the officer doesn't show up for the traffic offense, usually it's thrown out. The citation is thrown out, it's dismissed. If they do show up, ask for a withhold, you don't get points. The next and sort of question is, on a misdemeanor, do you really need an attorney? And you have no criminal history. You need to talk to an attorney so they can tell you, are you likely eligible for diversion? Depending on the county you're in is going to depend on which type of diversion programs the state attorney in that county or in that circuit offers. You need to know about those. Most people don't because you don't deal with it every day. Local criminal defense attorneys are incredibly, incredibly valuable resources to their community. I am making sure that I am spreading not only that value here in Central Florida where I live and practice, but throughout the state of Florida. I do take cases throughout the state of Florida. I travel, I consult with potential clients from all the way from Key West, which is down in Monroe County, as far south as you can go, all the way up to Escambia County, which is in Pensacola, which is as far west as you can go in the state of Florida. Having these conversations with an attorney is incredibly important. Most criminal defense attorneys do consultations for free. Most of us, not all of us, most of us do. I will tell you now, every single time I can give a client an answer and a path to follow, that is a super easy response. So say you've never been arrested for anything, some mistake took place, you have a petty theft in a store, holiday season, error or not, whatever. Most places, like I said, are going to allow you to get pretrial diversion, pretrial intervention. Whether you need to hire an attorney or if you've already been appointed a public defender, those are questions that I'm going to be able to answer. Those are questions that a criminal defense attorney is going to be able to answer for you before you have to make that decision. You want to get us involved as early in the process as possible, like day of, day after, as soon as possible, you want to get us involved. So here we go. Here we go, folks. You get into a more serious incident. Maybe you had a couple felonies on your record from when you were younger. There was some sort of disagreement, misunderstanding. You took a family member's car. They said it was theft. You were going to give it back, but whatever happened, right? There's crazy scenarios. Say you got into a car accident. You happen to get into a car accident with somebody who you had a disagreement with previously, right? Like there are so many little nuanced things I can't answer for you in a video. That's why you need to reach out to an attorney and consult with them and get their take on it. Because talking to an attorney is going to allow you to put in perspective whether you need to hire an attorney or not. It's also going to allow you to understand realistically, how much is it going to cost you to hire that attorney versus if you qualify for a public defender, does it make sense for you to stick with that public defender? If you have a very serious felony, it is almost always in your best interest to hire an attorney. And I don't say that to disparage public defenders. Some of the best attorneys I know are at the public defender's office. They're career public defenders. That's what they do. That's what they want to do. They are phenomenal attorneys. What I will tell you is when you are paying a private attorney, you're paying for their time. You are paying for their zealous advocacy for you. If you're at a public defender's office, you're getting an attorney who is incredibly busy, who is incredibly overworked. And while some of us private attorneys are oftentimes overworked, we owe you the same obligation the public defender does, but oftentimes you're going to have more access to us. You're going to be able to reach us. We're going to have the same type of staff that's going to know you. We're going to know you as a private attorney more so than the staff at a public defender's office is. Public defender's office a lot of times are triaging cases. Most of them do a phenomenal job. They really do. They just don't have the same amount of time that a private attorney is going to have. So to wrap up, the question is, should you hire a private attorney? Probably. So I know probably is not a super, I don't want to sit here and tell you every single time you should absolutely hire a private attorney. Listen, if you have the money, you have the resources, and you just don't want to deal with it at all, yeah, absolutely. Hire an attorney. As an attorney, I can't sit here in good conscience and tell you, I don't want you to hire me. Of course I do. The reality is there are some situations where you just don't need an attorney. They're rare. They don't happen all that often, but they do take place. Again, guys, my name is Attorney Darling. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out, comment, subscribe, like, hit the bell for sure. What that allows me to do is it allows me when I post videos for you to see them. And then if you have comments, if you have questions, put them in the comments. You can also send me an email, contact@attorneydarling.com. Send me an email, contact@attorneydarling.com with your questions. Of course, we're going to keep them private. We're not going to make anybody's name or specific, situation public. But if you have a question, there's probably somebody else in our community that has a question. And I want to make sure that I'm bringing value to our community and answering the questions that you have. So feel free to reach out, Attorney Darling on all the socials. Definitely like, definitely subscribe, click that bell. If you have a question, send me an email, contact@attorneydarling.com. Guys, thank you so much. Should you hire an attorney? Yeah, probably. Take care, and we will talk to you very, very soon.